Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. Today I wanted to talk about what we're going to get in 2017, what it has in store for us in regards to Star Citizen, Arena Commander, Star Marine, Squadron 42, and various ships and mechanics. Firstly, 2.6.1. This will be the first patch that we see in 2017. It's mainly going to be a hotfix patch. It's going to add some other features as well, though, so there's a few bits and bobs it might add. Mainly major bug fixing, some balance changes in regards to Arena Commanders and Star Citizen's flight model, weapon balancing, all that sort of stuff, but also Star Marine. So we're going to see some major bugs fixed there. Hopefully a bit more streamlined network stuff. And with the network stuff, we're going to see bind culling and serialized variables. This should help the efficiency of the network throughput, only sending information to clients and the server that is needed, so just changes in states and that sort of stuff, and only showing stuff to the client that is reasonable that the client would see. So basically it's going to be a lot more efficiency, and hopefully that should give us better latency in game, better less jitter. There were lots of random issues as well with some of the maps and stuff where the game would pause and that sort of stuff. So 2.6.1, suspect quality of life and improvement hotfix patch for what we already have, with those extra little network tweaks as well. With the possibility in mind of some interim patches, 3.0 is the next major patch after 2.6.1. And we'll talk about the interim patches in a bit. So 3.0 is possibly the most major step towards Star Citizen's completion that we've seen. It is going to be a huge chunk of gameplay for the persistent universe. There are major network code rewrites and improvements. We know that they're on Lumberyard now, so this is totally essential. They've got that backbone there, so that getting that network code rewritten and down will allow a lot more players to play. They want to get server meshing in too as well at some point, but we'll talk again about that in a different video probably. Planetary Landing. This is a major thing with Star Citizen. They want you to be able to go from space down to a planet and explore that planet kind of freely in a lot of situations. There'll be some planets which you can't do that on, especially like fully city planets where they'll give you like the feeling that you can explore, but maybe not the full exploration thing. You'll be pulled into certain landing zones on like a fully civilized planet, saying like, no, you've got to follow this flight corridor. But mostly on the other planets that are not fully colonized, you'll be able to kind of land where you want in most situations and explore kind of freely. They also want to expand the Stanton system to have at least roughly fleshed out all the planetary bodies and all the stations and that sort of stuff. So expect that for 3.0. The basic economy, they've got the price fixer tool and they've got the commodities list. They want to have a large amount of commodities and resources available in 3.0 that you can purchase, along with the cargo system. So we will be buying stuff in shops that will fill our cargo bay, and the first iteration of cargo will be like spawning as we purchase it into our cargo bay, and then going to another location and selling it. They also got this price fixer tool and various other tools that take information about what's going on in the verse, what components are required to create certain items, what commodities are used, is it made of iron and all that sort of stuff, and how much is that iron worth, and goes, this component is worth this much based on this, this ship is worth this much based on this. It basically enables them to have dynamic but final in-game pricing for items and ships. So that should hopefully be in 3.0, along with shopping kiosks as well. So hopefully the ability to buy ships and ship equipment with Alpha UEC will be there as well, but expect a much more expanded shopping and purchasing system. That cargo and trading mechanic as well, they're very strong for 3.0. Missions as well. There will be a vastly expanded mission set for the persistent universe of 3.0. Hopefully we'll also see the simple versions of modular missions. So missions will be slightly different every time. They lead on to different things. There'll be breadcrumbs. There'll be lots and lots and lots of stuff to do in the persistent universe. That level of gameplay is something that we haven't had before in Star Citizen. We've seen some cool stuff from the Miles Eckhart retrieve the black box and clear the pirate base mission, as well as the breadcrumb distress signal planet side leading to the crash javelin in various planet side and 3.0 demos. But trading mechanics, the Urza rover, the Dragonfly, and the Constellation Aquila, they are all going to be in 3.0, along with a vastly expanded gameplay mechanic. So that's something to very much look forward to. And the reason that 3.0 is going to be the biggest thing to happen to Star Citizen, and possibly ever, other than possibly its release. It is such a major stepping stone, and having that is going to really change the game, as it were. Patches 3.1 to 4.0 all may be coming possibly in 2017 as well. They all represent major gameplay mechanics, mostly for the persistent universe, as well as ships to use in them. So 3.1 is the mining and refining mechanics, as well as getting a Drake Cutlass Black, which will be the rework of the Cutlass Black, and the red and blue as well. We'll have the Hull C, as well as possibly some of the other Hull series, and the MISC Prospector as well. In 3.2, we're having the repair and salvage mechanics, the RSI Constellation Taurus, the Phoenix, as well as the Anvil Terrapin, the Vanguard Harbinger, the Vanguard Sentinel, and the Aegis Reclaimer. In 3.3, this is going to be probably the most exciting patch for a lot of people that have got some big ships. This is farming, rescue, and medical mechanics. So we'll actually see the expanded medical system there, where we possibly respawn on some medical ships, search and rescue for pilots, doing little mini games, or like stopping people dying in Star Marine, being able to revive them, that sort of stuff. We'll also see ships like the Anvil Carrack, the 890 Jump, the Banu Merchantman, and the MISC Reliant variants. And 4.0, so this is the next super major patch after 3.0, really, which is jump points, science, and exploration mechanics. So this will be more systems to explore, and the jump point navigation stuff, at least in its first iteration. Also expect to see the RSI Orion and the Anvil Crucible. Now, we don't know exactly when all of those things will be coming out. They might be a bit mismatched. We might see ships coming out significantly before they're currently planned to be in. That is just a rough list of where CIG currently plan for those ships to be, and will change on the schedule report once we know more, and hopefully we'll get them earlier than where they're currently placed. Again, with dates we don't know. We know that they're kind of roughed in for 2017, all of this stuff, but we don't know exact times and dates pretty much with all of this stuff yet. And I will update in the description below if we do know, and put a link to the schedule report and all of that jazz, as well as an article which I will be updating regularly on the ships and game mechanics as they evolve, as we know better guesstimates even of timelines. However, Delta patching. At some point in 2017, we should see Delta patching. It can't come soon enough, in my opinion. Hopefully, it's one of the earlier first quarter kind of releases, but we'll have to wait to see again. At the moment, we have to download huge amounts of data every patch, or with every Star Citizen update. It is expensive to CIG in bandwidth costs, and not viable to a lot of users to download huge amounts of data, especially in the PTUs and that sort of stuff, where you're constantly having to update a new patch. We have to do 30 gig downloads every time. Delta patching just downloads what you need. So a 2 gigabyte patch in the old system could be as small as 1 megabyte now, just changing the file you need. This should herald more regular hotfixes and patches, and a lot more players having accessibility into the game. We're going to see fixes faster. We're going to see balance changes much more easily to be implemented. It's possible as well, even without Delta patching, that there could be interim patches between some of these updates, if there are major mechanics that are finished that don't require other parts to be completed. If ships are completed and that sort of thing, they're likely to be pushed out if they can be. The most likely course is that we might get a patch between 2.6.1 and 3.0 with some of the features of 3.0, and again from 3.3, but before 4.0, possibly testing jump points and that sort of stuff. It's much more likely to see these patches and more additional patches in between them if Delta patching is released, but we will have to wait and see again. Squadron 42's release. Now, I did have this in 2016 last time I did one of these, but Squadron 42, or SQ42, is the single player campaign of Star Citizen in a Wing Commander style. Episode 1 is planned to come out in 2017 now. There are roughly 21 chapters, 70-ish missions planned for Squadron 42 Episode 1, whatever a mission is. Each chapter should have around 1 hour of gameplay-ish. Squadron 42 Episode 2 and 3 are planned approximately 2 years apart from each other, so expect after the release of Squadron 42 Episode 1, 2 years' time we'll have Episode 2, and then 2 years later we'll have Episode 3. Very early backers that purchased Star Citizen a while ago will have Episode 2 for free, but everyone else will have to purchase these additional AAA games in their own right. So Squadron 42 Episode 1 was delayed in 2016 to 2017, and in a recent interviews, Chris Roberts said that it will be out this year, and then thought about it for a second, probably. I assume that was a joke. It will almost certainly be out in 2017. Last year was quite stressful for Squadron 42 fans. The vertical slice of the game, which was pegged for CitizenCon 2016, was never materialised. It was expected to be a 30 to 60 minute fully playable mission from pre-briefing to getting to your ship, to the mission, to returning to your ship for a debrief or similar, possibly with some planetary combat and some boarding and that sort of stuff. We don't entirely know. But the idea is it's going to be a fully showcased, polished, final release quality chapter or mission. And we should hopefully, once we get to see this, because that vertical slice, I assume, is still going to be coming out significantly before, or at least a little bit before, Squadron 42. We should, in theory, get Squadron 42 a little bit thereafterwards, I suppose. But yeah, I am waiting for that vertical slice. That is one of the most exciting things to come out in 2017. But with the release of Squadron 42, I do expect to see a load of ships in the persistent universe and Star Citizen in general. So Squadron 42 ships, mainly UEE and human ships like the F-8 Lightning and the F-7A Military Hornet, but as well as the Vandal ships, the Cleaver, the Void Bomber, the Stinger and the Blade. Concept ships, we are going to see a few concept ships go on sale in 2017. Expect to see the Aegis Eclipse, the Anvil Hurricane, the Origin 600, some form of new Banu ship, though I can't work out what it said on the whiteboard thing, the whiteboard leak a while ago. It said Banu something and I still can't work it out. It's possible that we might get to the civilian version of the F-8 Lightning as well. And we'll talk about a couple of other possibilities as well. The F-8 Lightning, they said they wouldn't sell the military version. It's possible that we might get the civilian version in a concept sale if it's significantly changed from the military version. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, we're going to get all the same events that we did last year. Gamescom, CitizenCon, the anniversary livestream and the holiday livestream, plus any other events that CIG may be attending. Now, hopefully CIG have learnt their lesson from last year and don't disappoint us with promises of CitizenCon stuff that doesn't materialise, like the vertical slice, as well as the travesty that was the holiday live stream, where a lot of technical problems plagued our viewing. So again, I'm looking forward to all those events, and I will put links to them as we know them in the description below. And I'll basically link an article to this that will continuously update based on timelines and information that we have. But CIG should have learnt exactly what they're doing now, hopefully. The Next Great Star Marine. So we'll talk more about Star Marine again in a second, but the Next Great Star Marine is supposed to be a series that CIG are going to run with community members competing to make and design some large Titan armour, some big power armour for use in Star Citizen. It's going to be in the similar vein of the Next Great Starship, if you've seen that, but I haven't heard much about the Next Great Star Marine lately, so it should be coming out some point this year, I believe, talking about the Next Great Starship actually as well. We might see the Anvil Scimitar and the AX 114 Boomslang go on concept sale, possibly too, in 2017. They were awesome looking TNGS ships that the Redeemer went on to beat, and CIG have hinted that they might put those ships onto concept sale at some point. Capital ships. Now, capital ships need a bit of extra work in-game, even when they are ready to release in, like, Squadron 42 or whatever. The netcode needs to support at least 2 of them fighting with fighter support, really, before we see them in-game. So these are ships like the Idris, the Javelin, the Pegasus escort carrier, the Bengal big carrier, and even alien ships like the Vandal Hunter destroyer, the Mauler cruiser, the Driller escort carrier that we saw on the holiday livestream, and the King ship. Now, the larger network rewrite in 3.0 should help alleviate that and hopefully allow that to happen. But expect to see in 2017, at some point, capital ship battles. And we might see capital ships as maps for Star Marine, we might see other game modes, we might see them in the persistent universe, not just as crashed on planets, but also as wrecks in space. And we may be able to start using them in the persistent universe, which I know we all want, because capital ship battles are going to rock. Arena Commander and Star Marine will be getting more love as well. Expect to see more balance changes, expect to see lots more polish going into Arena Commander. But Star Marine will see loads of improvements. So, and the FPS in general kind of side of Star Citizen will too. Expect to see gadgets like deployable shields and holograms, loads of FPS weapons, various like conventional weapons, as well as larger ones like railguns that are shoulder mounted for taking out ships and vehicles, various grenades and more armor types, as well as the ability to modularly set different armor, so different heavy armor on the body and like light on the legs if you wanted, for example. It's important to see more choice in loadouts in Star Marine, larger selections of weapons and weaponry, and more meaningful choices in gadgets, armor types, and all that jazz along the way, as well as more maps for both Arena Commander and Star Marine, which I suspect we will be seeing in 2017. That and the stamina system, I suppose, in Star Marine working. That's a major thing that will help balance that game mode. This means heavier loadouts will mean you won't move as fast. You will stop running eventually. You'll basically run out of stamina, and you'll have to take a breather effectively before you can run again. But if you're in lighter armor, you'll be able to run for a lot longer and possibly regenerate your stamina quicker. So that ability to be able to run constantly in Star Marine is not currently as intended. We're going to see some changes in the way that the community is handled. On the RSI website, they're now doing This Week in Star Citizen as an actual news article, which tells us what's going to be going on during a week rather than just a forum post. We'll still see Around the Verse, which is the community weekly show, and that instead of RTV, it looks like they're doing something like a happy hour, where they stream with a popular, or at least a Star Citizen streamer, and then talk about it and play games and then do some giveaways and that sort of stuff. It will be a much more informal looking kind of thing, it looks like. And I suspect other shows as well there. They might do some news stuff. We'll still see Bug Smashers and the Lawmaker's Guide to the Galaxy and that sort of stuff. So expect your regular shows, but as well as some improvements to ones that they already have, and maybe some re-gearing. The schedule report. So this is something to keep your eyes on throughout 2017 and until Star Citizen's released. It will be detailing internal release dates and targets from CIG about Squadron 42, 2.6.1, 3.0, all that sort of jazz, as those patches become relevant. So watch that. Understand where those patch dates are going to be coming from. Hopefully we should see an update to that every week. Other stuff that's maybe a slight possibility. We might see Satterball, which is the 0G Star Marine Sport, like an Ender's game, towards the end of 2017, maybe. There's going to be reworks too. There's going to be reworks of ships, getting them up to the new gold standard. Expect to see major reworks of like the Origin series and the Aurora series, but we're going to see lots of ships reworked, like the Cutlass Black's getting a rework as well, and that sort of stuff. So we are going to get ships improved. There's going to be loads of balance improvements and changes throughout these patches, and that's going to be based on what we say to CIG. And that's something very important. It's never been more important to report stuff on the Issue Council, but also go onto the appropriate places in forums and talk to CIG about, I don't like the way this ship handles, I love the way this ship handles, I think that this should be more agile, I think when this is happening, this happens, that sort of stuff. So we give feedback to CIG, they change it for balance. Not super important to get balance perfect at this stage, but towards a beta, towards the end of 2017, 2018, we might actually start to see a Star Citizen beta. We're going to start to need to think more about that balance, so it's good to get it in our heads now. There's some other major bits and bobs that I haven't really discussed elsewhere. AI subsumption, so NPCs will have their own schedules, personalities, strengths and weaknesses. There's going to be animals on planets like the sandworm that we've seen, but we're going to see people, NPCs, moving around stations, doing jobs on planet surfaces, all organised into pirate squadrons and fighters to fight you in space as well. So we're going to see NPCs kind of living their lives. It's going to make the world feel a lot more alive, and we'll start to see that implemented in 2017. Item System 2.0 as well. And there's going to be much more customization of your ship and its components, as well as inventories for your characters. Item System 2.0 should be fully fleshed out at some point in 2017, and that will give us a lot more options. The female model and general character customization. We have long awaited the female model as well as character customization with more than just clothing. Expect to see both of these in 2017 at some point. And interdiction and I suppose scanning as well. I would expect to see both interdiction, so that's pulling ships out of Quantum Drive, and lots more scanning options coming into Star Citizen in 2017 as well. They're very important mechanics. Expect Star Citizen in general in all kind of areas to get a polish, and the move over to Lumberyard gives Star Engine a lot more options and powerful network backbone. 2017 should be the year to shine and show that engine off, and we're going to see a lot of what Star Citizen is going to have to offer in earnest in 2017. 3.0 representing some genuine, tangible gameplay representative of what the game might be like. Squadron 42 Episode 1 actually being the first finished product that CIG put to market, and Foundry 42 as well, obviously. There is a couple of mechanics like refueling that I didn't mention that should be coming in 2017 as well. I just don't know exactly when. The Xi'an Volpa bomber might go into concept as well. And we might see more from the Tavara and other alien races from ships that we haven't discussed. Expect some more surprises and disappointments along the way in 2017. I hope that Lumberyard's engine, with its accessibility to even people like me to get their grubby little mitts on it, enables a lot more modding possibilities, but also to look into the Star Citizen's files. Not in a leaky way, but I like having a little dabble, a little look. I am extremely excited to see what this year brings. But what do you think? What do you think Patch will get up to in 2017? Do you think major features will be admitted? Do you think we'll get a lot more? Do you think there's going to be ships that we haven't discussed? Do you think there's going to be lots of ships? What stuff do you think I've missed for 2017? Remember that commenting on any of our Star Citizen content each month gives you a chance to win a ship. For January, that's an Avenger Titan. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, guys, as it genuinely does help me. And I'll see you in the verse. Happy 2017.